Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the exciting review of the Masters of the Universe Classics. I'm Toontastic Tim, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Faceless One. The Faceless One is a brand new character from the 2002 He-Man and the Masters of the Universe cartoon. And being that I'm a huge fan of that toy line, I'm really stoked to see him get made. Speaking of cartoons, the Faceless One makes two appearances in the 2002 cartoon, in Lessons and in The Price of Deceit. In Lessons, Skeletor sends Evil Lyn, Trapjaw, and Beastman to Zalatia to retrieve the ancient Ram Stone for his own selfish ambitions. With the magic words, the ancient artifact can be activated. Fear, Batroc, Atram! And the Ram Stone can create an unstoppable force of great power in the form of a ram which could break any barrier, even Castle Grayskull. The Faceless One is packaged in its classic blister card packaging, and the more I look at these blister cards, it kind of looks like the sky in the background is similar to the skies in 2002 He-Man and the Masters of the Universe cartoon. The whole package looks really awesome though. The Faceless One is a must for any mint-on card collector, and this guy is going to be one of your heavier figures in your collection, so if you do keep him minty in his mailer, you'll want to stack him at the bottom. And it does pain me to take him out, but for the honor of Grayskull and you, we're going ahead and going to take him out of his package. Before we check out the articulation, I need to let you know that the Havoc staff is actually attached to the back of the card, which I hope Mattel continues to put the weapons on the card. It may not happen, but it does help to keep the weapons straight. The first thing about Faceless One that I've noticed here is that he's almost identical to his cartoon version, minus the very bottom of his robe. When I took him out of the package, his body slid right out of the cape, and I had to take the cape out separately. So his cape is one massive piece that's an essential part of his attire. Without the cape, he kind of looks like the spirit of Grayskull that appeared in the Filmation and mini-comics. And with the cape on, he becomes the Faceless One, ruler of Zalatia. His designs and colors are brilliantly done and extremely similar to the 2002 Evil Lyn action figure, which can give us a glimpse into the future of what a 2002 Evil Lyn might look like. With the cape off, we see that he's actually three separate pieces that come together as one. And even though the cape does limit his arms from raising completely above his head, the three separate pieces in soft plastic allow some movement, so you can pose him in that perfect pose. Brilliantly done. Love it, love it. Awesome. Kudos to the Horseman for creating another unique cape. Since the beginning of this line, I haven't seen a reuse of any of the capes. With the cape on, the head articulation is not limited because it does go all the way back and all the way down, and can also look from side to side. And with his cape off here, he does look kind of silly. But let me zoom in here on the face. His face has that spirit form that I was talking about. There's remnants of the form of the face that used to be there, but there's no skin tone, which kind of makes you wonder what colors Nicholas Powers had, since Evil Lyn has yellow skin. Now let me zoom out here. And his shoulders can go, let me go ahead and get the shoulders, they can go out and in, up and down. He also has bicep, tricep movement, as well as the ankles, the elbows and wrists work just fine. His waist also, he's got that ab movement here, which is fine if you have the cape off, but if you try to put the cape on and lean him all the way back, it's not going to work just right. So let's go ahead and straighten him out here. Now let's look at the battle skirt down here. It's one complete piece up front. It's made of that super soft plastic, and on back there are all different separated pieces. The Faceless One also, that soft plastic allows him to sit on a beast of your choice. Now, as well, the knees do bend and will allow you to make him sit as long as you don't have the cape on. Now, his ankles are nice and tight, so there's no issues there, and they really have to be to hold up that huge cape. The Faceless One comes with his mighty ramstone and havoc staff. Now, the Faceless One, I do have to note that the Faceless One shares the same left hand, almost like the left hand of Count Marzo. There is one slight difference. His left pinky is a little over to the left more than Marzo's. Other than that, they share boots, and other than that, they are completely original. His left hand allows him to hold the ramstone tightly. The ramstone has lots of details and texture, so I'm going to take this relic out, or artifact, and I'm going to sit it on the table so you can get a closer look. The texture and details are covered in that shiny Castle Grayskull green color. The ramstone is also made 2 appearances in the 2002 cartoon, in Lessons, and in the last part of The Last Stand, where He-Man destroys the ramstone for the sake of Castle Grayskull and Eternia. Now let me go ahead and get this ramstone back in his hand here. Just a moment. Awesome. There we go. Now his last accessory is the Havoc Staff. The Havoc Staff shares the same textures and design of the Havoc Staff that originally came with Skeletor, with one major difference. It's made of clear pink translucent clear pink translucent material that gives it the "I'm gonna blast you" feel. Next thing we're going to take a look at here is the back of the card, and we'll go ahead and review the bio. The bio gives us more insight into the mythologies and legends of the Masters of the Universe. If we follow the bios, a lot of our unanswered questions from when we were kids are explained, and we can get a better idea of the bigger picture. I love the bios personally, and they're very exciting and are a great way to continue the storyline. The bios tell us the Faceless One's real name is Nicholas Powers, ruler of Zelatia, and it states that he was entrusted by King Grayskull to guard the city's great magical objects, which were the Havoc Staff and the mystical Ram Stone. The bio gives our character depth in the fact that we find out he was originally a core member of the Grayskull Council of Elders. The Council of Elders were great magicians from all across Eternia who had the wisdom to tap into the planet's hidden magical powers. We also discovered there was some sort of treaty between the Elders and King Hiss that prevented the Elders from reproducing heirs. The consequences of breaking the treaty caused Nicholas Power to be stripped of his humanity, condemned to never leave Zelatia, and forced to watch his city destroyed by Serpos. Now called the Faceless One, he went to the Wizard Warrior Hero to use the power of Central Tower and send his daughter Evelyn into the future. There, as an immortal, he hoped to raise her away from the terror of the Great Wars. The Great Wars meaning King Grayskull and the Council of Elders against the evil Horde and the Snake Men. The bio connected a bunch of wires in my head and only left me with a couple questions unanswered, so I guess we'll just have to keep reading the bios to find out. So, even though the Faceless One looks like an evil villain, I don't think he's all that bad after all. He's a great dad, and he tried to raise his daughter in a safe environment. Even though she turned out to be a bad kid, he still loved and forgave her shortcomings. Just like in The Price of Deceit, when Skeletor was going to sacrifice her to the Pool of Shadows, the Faceless One sends a telepathic message for help from He-Man, even after all those years of betrayal. So I don't see him as a bad guy, but more so as a guy who made some bad decisions, which leads to a series of unfortunate events. But you can come to your own conclusions. After all, you had the power. The Faceless One is exclusively available at MattyCollector.com on June 15th and is also a Club Eternian monthly figure. This is Toontastic Tim, and I'll see you next time.